get into the podcast since I hit the record button and I forgot it does the automatic voice there. So welcome to another episode of Stories from a Bar. I'm your host, Chris Osborne. And for this episode, I'm excited to be hanging out with Matt Fowler, guitar player for the band Arrows in Action. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. If you see me looking off to the side a lot, that's just because that's where my notes are.
Okay. So
Not that I've not, it's not like I'm not interested. I just need to
there's just some
keep track. Yes. Something shiny over here that's distracting me. So I appreciate you taking the time to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to be on. Thanks for having us on. I saw you recently had someone who's now a good buddy of ours. You had Alex from Young Culture, right?
Yeah. I had Alex on a while ago before they went on tour with Grayscale. So I think that was in the fall. Actually, I learned about them because Alex and Gabe and Troy, who I haven't met yet, because I didn't have a chance to talk to them at the show. Of course, there's so much stuff going on, but they all went to school with my a younger cousin of mine. So that's actually how I found out about Young Culture.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah, so they're good friends with one of my younger cousins. And then so I had known the name for a long time, and then I just finally, after a couple of years, listened to them. I'm like, these guys are awesome.
They are the sweetest people. Super fun on the road.
Oh yeah, Alex was a super cool guy, and I hope to run into Gabe and Troy one of these days too.
Oh yeah.
But so for anyone out there listening, Arrows in Action is certainly more than one person. There's a couple other members, and those are Jesse Frimmel on drums and Victor. I don't know if I'm probably butcher his last name. Viramontes Pattinson.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Is it?
Nice. Yeah.
Does he go by Victor or Vic?
Either one.
I don't think I've ever actually met someone in real life named Victor.
I hadn't either until Victor.
It's a shame. He could have been my first.
Hey, maybe he will be next time.
It's true. That option is still out there.
Yeah.
Either way, shout out to your manager Jacob for helping get us in touch and set this up.
Yes, absolutely.
He seemed like a nice guy.
Everything he is. So Jacob's been with us since just about the very beginning, pretty much the very beginning for me. And like we all met in college, and so he's just been another band member, like he's in our group chat. We talk to him every morning, and we all live in the same city again now. So yeah, he's the man.
Nice. I'd like to, of course, when I'm not doing a beer related episode or something like that, at least shout out a local brewery of something I'm drinking. So nice. I am drinking from Common Roots Brewing up in North Glens Falls, New York, some Good Fortune IPA. One of the great things where I live, I love two things as hobbies, and that's beer and music. So it's just basically why I started the podcast. I had a friend that started podcasting about video games. I'm like, well, what do I love? I love drinking, talking to strangers, and music. So that's brought me here.
I love those things too, honestly. What's the video game podcast that your friend does? That's another passion of mine.
That's called Video Game Crosstalk. He does some video game stuff and a lot of technology stuff. So he also talks to like tech people, just people doing interesting stuff in tech industries as well as video game stuff.
I'll have to put that one out too.
Yeah, and we're in Albany, New York. There's a lot of awesome breweries around here. There's also some game studios that have been popping up. So he's busy. Actually, he's working on putting together a con of some kind. I won't go into more details because I think that's still in the works.
Nice.
So we got that coming up, and just a bunch of awesome breweries up this way too.
Dang, I'll have to check stuff out next time we're up there. I think
great local bands too.
I think we'll be up there soon. Oh yeah, there's a lot of good music there, and that's the thing with touring is you never really have enough time to like really explore the places. But I hope I'll be able to go explore some more Albany someday soon.
Nice. We're going to talk a lot about fun things. I have some good notes, but first off, I want to hear about you guys. Just recently got off a tour with Young Culture and Bearings, and Between You and Me, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear about this tour, man, because that's an awesome lineup. I hadn't listened to you guys probably until a month or so ago, actually.
Oh, sick.
And I came across you guys on Twitter thanks to me following those other three bands. I'm seeing everything they're retweeting, so your name started popping up. And so at one day at work, I just threw it on at my desk on Spotify and just let it go down the list. I'm like, these guys are awesome.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, that tour was a blast. That was it was our first full US tour. So before that, we were out with This Wildlife for like a week and a half in December, and before that was COVID, and really we had never toured. We were gearing up to, and then everything hit. So
Oof.
This was our first full lap around the US, and we were added with 8 days notice, which was insane, but kind of just added to the lore of it for us. It was really exciting. Like, we were at a rehearsal when we got the call, so we were like, okay, I guess this rehearsal's a lot more consequential now. This is great. But yeah, everyone in those bands and crew slash management alike were amazing, and everyone was telling us the whole time, they're like, you guys are so spoiled. Not every tour is like this. Not everyone's this amazing. So I know that all the tours we do in the future are going to be great, but I think I'll always be reminiscing to what was basically just a big summer camp with all those people.
I mean, well, yeah, following the social media, it all looked like you guys were just partying all the time. And actually, thanks to when I started following Young Culture, that's how I discovered Bearings and Between You and Me. And I've just been listening to those albums. Hello, It's You and Armageddon, just like not, they're in constant rotation almost since I've discovered them months ago at this point.
Yeah, it's cool to like, because I had already listened to all those bands and I liked everything. And then after I got to know everyone, and everyone's still pretty close, just messaging each other constantly, hoping that we'll get to go on the road again. And now that like I know how great everyone is, I went deep dove into everyone's catalog, and now I'm regularly listening to my friends' music that I genuinely love, because all three of those bands are so fucking good. Oh,
Yep. Nope, you're good.
Okay. No,
Language
good?
is fine.
Okay,
Language
cool.
is fine.
It's
I forgot to put that disclaimer out there. Generally, the only thing I ever say is basically try to avoid politics. It's
fair.
Kind of that can go off the rails quick.
Yeah, easy. But cursing, green light.
Cursing's good. Green light. The more, the better.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yeah, man. That I think I wanted to go to one of those shows so bad, but I think the closest one that was going to come by was Brooklyn, and that would have been at least a 3-hour train ride or so from Albany with a connecting train. I probably would have had to get off at MSG or Penn Station.
Yeah, I always forget that even if something is like geographically close up there, it's not actually close in transit. Like I've learned that because my best friend lives in, I think part of Manhattan now, and he was telling me about the trains, and it was just like, it looks like it's a 15-minute drive, but it's not. It's gonna take an hour.
Oh no, I'll never drive my car in the city. Whenever I go down, it's what's cool is it's close enough for a day trip from Albany, so I can catch a train from Albany to the city, about 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think is the shortest one. So it's an easy day trip, but I'll never drive into the city. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Just that traffic. And what's funny is if you talk to anybody that's not from New York and you say you're from New York, they automatically think the city.
Oh yeah.
Like
I've been doing my best to not have that assumption anymore, because there's a lot of New York that is not New York.
Honestly, like out of Manhattan and Brooklyn and the burbs down there, it's almost all farm. It's a big open area. Like, and Albany's the capital, which I don't think a lot of people outside of New York will realize if you're talking to them.
Yeah.
So it's always fun, because I lived in South Carolina for a while, and I'd say I'm from New York, and they just assume city.
Assume New York City. Man, what part of South Carolina?
Greenville, Spartanburg. So it was like the upper northwest corner.
Okay,
cool. I was about an hour and a half from Charlotte, a little less of a drive.
Yeah. I've been to Charlotte plenty of times. I'm hoping that we'll play there soon. But
Charlotte was cool. I've been drunk there, gotten tattooed there.
That sounds about right.
And literally any flight I've ever been on that's gone south has stopped in Charlotte.
Yep.
Just for a layover.
Yeah, everyone's been there at least once.
Yeah. But like I was saying, I discovered you guys after I started following the other bands on Twitter. Like one of these days, I hope to have a chance to talk to the guys in Bearings, or even Between You and Me. I think that would be fun, just because I don't think I've hung out with a bunch of Aussies before.
It's a good time. They the Australians know how to keep the party going, and they're also just super kind and good under pressure. They're just wonderful people to be around.
Yeah, man. They always look like fun. It's on my bucket list. I got to try to meet Chris Hemsworth. He just seems like an awesome guy to hang out with.
Yes. Yeah. Man, that reminds me, I am not caught up on my Marvel shit. I should probably do that.
Oh man. The Moon Knight show just wrapped.
It just
which I've
wrapped.
watched. Yeah, that wrapped up.
Uh,
That's done. That had 6 episodes. That's what. So, are you guys driving around in a van? I assume when you're
We
on tour.
we are we had to rent a van because we had not yet bought one, and with such short notice, we just had to rent one. So we were driving a 15 passenger, just no trailer. We just took a bunch of the seats out and just shoved all of our shit in the back. There was only four of us because it's just us and our manager. So like
Yeah.
we were good. We're now in the market for a van because now we have a little bit of time before we go back out. And yeah, I it's tough though because like the used market is it's crazy.
Oh,
Everything's so expensive.
oh yeah, man. COVID. It's I'm trying to get as much life out of my car as possible. My car's 12 years old now,
Hmm.
something like right around there. And I've always said, I said this with my last car too. I'll drive it until one of us dies. Because there's no like just for your own personal car, there's no better feeling than not having a car payment.
Mhm. Oh
Like
yeah.
I will drive this until one of us dies. And that I came close on my one when I had a Jeep Wrangler. I brought like the brakes had gone on me, so I brought it into the shop, and I don't remember how old it was at the time, 10 or 11 years. And they're like, other parts of this have rusted off. Like you're missing pieces. We can't just straight up fix this. Like you're probably
Oh
lucky to
God.
be alive. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? I was on the interstate last week.
Oh God. I've never gotten that bad, but I drove like a when I got rid of it, it was like a 20-year-old car. And then now I have like a 7-year-old car, but I want to make it last until it's probably life threatening again because I like can't afford to do anything else.
Oh yeah. Well, I suspect cars will last longer in the south because you guys won't have to deal with the salt and stuff from plows in the winter.
Oh, exactly.
That's definitely one thing I remember from living down there. I think the
Oh
whole
yeah, nothing gets rusty. It's great.
I think the South Carolina would get some bad ice storms, and I think the whole state probably only had one plow or salt truck. so, so that shit would just stay on the road.
Well, it's funny because places like South Carolina, places like Tennessee, it snows a little bit. Well,
Yeah.
a little bit. It snows heavily for like a short period of time. And it seems like every time it happens, it's just absolute mayhem of like, oh
Oh
God,
yeah.
how do we deal with this? And it's like, you knew it was going to happen. But
Yeah, man. I remember school being canceled once because I was in high school at the time. They got an inch of snow by 9 o'clock. Everything was dry. I'm like, this is awesome.
yep.
That was like my first year down there. So I was one of the things when I started listening to you guys that jumped out at me almost immediately was actually Victor's voice.
Yeah.
Such an awesome voice. And what was cool about it to me was it had such a familiar sound, probably just from years of listening to pop punk and this kind of music. But at the same time, it's unique in its own way. Like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking of all these other influences I think I can hear in him, but he still sounds like himself. I'm not comparing him to anybody. So I'm curious, like, what were your influences once you got into making music and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, so it's interesting because my influences are pretty different than the guys. I mean, when I first started playing music, and even kind of like right before that, I loved like the Foo Fighters, AC/DC, Black Sabbath. Like when I was learning how to play guitar, that's what I was listening to. My favorite music growing up, though, was like Bob Marley and James Taylor and the Beatles and stuff like that. And although it was a lot more relevant for the early Sound of Errors in Action. So even before I was in the band, Jesse and Victor met because they both were in love with like All Time Low and
Yeah.
like Yellow Card and stuff. And so I think when I first heard Victor's voice, I hadn't listened to any of that music. A lot of people hear him and go like, "Oh, he's doing a Brendan Urie thing. Oh, he's doing an Alice Kaskar thing." I heard them and I was just like, "Wow, that's really fucking good." I'm not
It's
used
fun.
to
It's funny you mentioned that. Those are two people I thought of, but I'm like, it's still unique enough to be his own voice.
it. Yeah. And I mean, that does so much for us, right? Because I think in the pop punk lane, which we're kind of adjacent to, but not totally in, it can be tough to totally distinguish yourself. And we're just grateful every day that Victor's voice just immediately does that. And it comes from a lot of practice and a lot of not like professional training, but training himself.
Mm-hmm.
like pushing his range and listening to all sorts of music. So yeah, Victor's great.
Yeah, you guys have a couple EPs, I think, but another, at least another one or two besides Be More, right? I think, and some other singles.
Yes. So
Yep.
there before Be More, there was 4 singles, and then there was Hell in Paradise in
Yep.
2019, and
Yeah,
then
that was
before
good.
that, Coasting. And I was not in the band for Coasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, once I mean, I've been listening to Be More and the new song, Put You Through Me, and the
Yeah.
other two standout tracks for me were This Time and Failing on Purpose. Those songs are just fucking awesome.
Sick. Thank you.
Great rockers. But when I'm at work, I'll just let the Spotify list go down, and then of course I picked up the EP on Bandcamp and stuff like that.
That's
Um,
sick.
so what's the songwriting process like for you guys then?
Yeah.
Is there any? Do you have like a certain style that you work, or is it just kind of random and comes together when it comes together?
We tried a lot of different things. Typically, how it starts and what has worked best for us is Victor will have a melody idea or a chord progression or both. And it can be sometimes it's literally just, you know, 20 seconds and it's just, I want to sing this thing over this thing. We're like, great. And sometimes it's a little more structured. He thinks that maybe this can be a verse, maybe this can be the chorus. But we just take those bones and usually go in with producer friends, and then I will track guitars, sort of start making things a little bit more robust. Jesse obviously will do like program drums and keys and just sort of give it more of a like breathe some more life into it. And then once we've created like a more of a mood from it, there's a lot more instrumentation now. Maybe there's a cool little re-intro thing and we have a verse chorus structure. And we bounce that, and then Victor will go write lyrics to it while we're tinkering with the track. Yeah, so that's the most common way, because ever since we moved to Nashville, we do a lot of like session writing, where we just get together with some friends and do it that way. We've had a lot of great stuff come out of that. We've also had a lot of great stuff come out of just like sitting with 2 acoustic guitars and knocking everything out and then going and recording it.
Oh,
yeah, but that's usually the 2 options there. Yeah.
nice. So I know really the basics of how the band started, just based what was on the website and stuff. Jesse started it in 2015. Sounds like he met Victor first, and they had a little history before you hopped on. So how did that come together?
Yeah, they met. It's funny because Arrows in Action used to be Jesse's the only original member technically, which is really funny to say because we, the start of the band really feels like it was 2018 when the 3 of us were like, oh, this is the dream team. We got this. Let's make this our job. But really, yeah. I mean, Jesse started Arrows in Action. It was sort of like it was a cover band. It was him and some other friends. And then
more bands start as cover bands than you realize, and you just never hear about it.
Oh yeah, and that's how I met Victor too, is because him and I got hired to be in this cover band that played, sorority fraternity parties and stuff in college just to pay rent, and we met that way. So when they needed first a bass player, I joined, and then I switched to guitar because that's like my main thing that I had always done. But yeah, I mean, Jesse met Victor actually because Jesse was opening for Victor's first band. And the band is only named Arrows in Action because Victor said, hey man, you need to name the band. And Jesse was like, we don't have a band name. It's just, okay, you have to figure it out. And that's just what they made up. So
that was my next question, the obligatory where'd the band name come from question.
Yeah, unfortunately Jesse has to answer to that, but yeah,
I like it. I'm like, it took me a little bit. I'm like, Arrows in Action. It grew on me quick. I'm like, it seems odd, but now the more I think about it, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that.
It is odd, and we've had a long time ago now. We had discussion of changing it and everything, and then it turns out that like, and Jesse always makes this point. He said this every night on our first tour, because we would say who we were to the crowd, and he would say, I know it's a weird sounding band name, but all band names are bad until you're famous.
That's not wrong.
Like, that's not wrong, because Limp Bizkit,
dumb name at first.
Dumb name. There's plenty of other examples, but I was like, you know what? That's very good. So the band name gains more meaning every day, and it's it's really good for SEO, because if you type in Arrows or Arrows in Action,
it does. It's one of the first things to pop up. Yeah.
Like no one else is called Arrows in Action. Like that's
the hardest part, I would think, of coming up with the name, finding something that isn't already overloaded to some extent.
Exactly. Yeah. And we came in with that done for us. So we were like, all right.
Nice. Like, so when you joined the band, do you remember the first show you guys played together?
Oh, that's a good question. So yes, like I said, like when I originally joined the band, they just needed a substitute bass player. So if I'm counting that, I think yeah, I think the first show I played with them was at this place called Hardback Cafe in Gainesville, Florida.
Ah, Gainesville. Is that where in Florida you're from?
Yes. Well, so actually, yeah, we're all from slightly different parts of Florida, but we met in Gainesville for college because that's where
Okay.
UF is. Yeah.
Honestly, the only reason I'm probably very familiar with that town is because of Less Than Jake.
Oh yeah, yeah. Roger's a friend of ours.
Is he really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. I haven't talked to him in a while, but like when we were in Gainesville, we ran into each other all the time, and we go to shows. And our some two close friends of mine are his other band. So Rehasher is
Oh
him,
wow.
and Alex, and Tony's our old bass player and close friend of ours still. And
I'm actually going to see Less Than Jake. They're coming to town with Bowling for Soup next month.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm pumped up for that
Be
show.
that's a fucking great lineup. And I think, oh, who's opening for that?
The
It's a really,
Aquabats are on this
oh,
leg.
on that one. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I love the Aquabats, man.
Yeah,
Aquabats
it's actually I was the lead singer of Bowling for Soup and the guitar player. We're doing their acoustic tour and we're going to be playing in Albany back in February. And I had tickets to go see it, and I got in touch with Jarrett from Bowling for Soup. All I did was like I posted, I'm like, it's on my bucket list to have a beer with you guys. So he started messaging me. He's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And then the show
yeah.
got canceled because I think Rob's wife went into labor early and there was a snowstorm,
Oh
so they ended
wow.
up canceling it. Like, oh man, that's good for
Yeah.
him. I'm a little bummed out, but
Yeah, I was gonna say of all the reasons for cancellation, that is the most.
I'll let that slide. I
Yeah.
feel like being there for the birth of your first child's probably acceptable.
Probably acceptable.
Well, I'm going to try and reach out to Jared again. Well, as that gets closer, I'm like, let's get that beer.
Yeah, you guys definitely got to.
And now I have an opening to talk to Roger for Less Than Jake. So thank you for that.
Yeah, Roger's awesome. Like I said, it's been since we lived in Gainesville, so maybe like a year, but man, he was so good to us. And my first band from high school recorded with him at Moat House, and you know, Arrows recorded there. We played some shows with Rehasher. Yeah, really,
That's
really
awesome.
good people. Yeah, I miss some stuff about Gainesville. Yeah,
So when did you guys decide to move to Nashville then?
we we decided to move to Nashville sort of like during the height of actual quarantine. So when we were living in Gainesville, after I graduated college, we all moved into a house together, and we were there for 2 years. But sort of towards the end of the first one, we were talking about moving out of Florida to get somewhere a little bit more, just advantageous for making your way in the industry.
No, yeah.
I think, and we had great experiences in Nashville because we had already kind of started recording up there. We had some friends up here, and we were like, okay, so when we can get out of Florida, after everything, we got to go. And so we had made the decision quite a while earlier. So it was a slow band-aid to rip off, but it was good because we got to kind of say our goodbyes, in Florida. So
I haven't been to Nashville, man. I'm dying to get down there, just even for like a 3-day weekend.
yeah,
But just as someone that's always loved music, I've never been a huge fan of country music. It's grown on me a little bit more as I've gotten older, and I've heard the influences more in the singer songwriter stuff that I get into
right.
and things like that. So that's helped. But just the image of Nashville has changed so much over the years. It seems like it was the country place to be, and now literally it's almost like a hotspot for any kind of type of music and band. So many places, so many bands are coming out of there. I think the band Caminos in that area,
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy them, and just countless others at this point.
Yeah, we're big band Camino fans as well. A lot of people that would surprise you are out of Nashville. It is still a huge hub for country for sure,
Oh, yeah.
but it's also super not that, which is great. It is exactly what you said. People from all sorts of different backgrounds and different genres and everything are coming to Nashville for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's certainly more affordable to live here than New York City or LA because that was one of the main reasons that we were looking at it. We were like, okay, like what are our options? that like where do we think it'll actually help us to move? And we talked about Chicago, we talked about New York, we talked about LA, about Atlanta. We are like, you know what, let's do Nashville because it's affordable. We already have friends there, and yeah, there's a lot going on. It's nice. People are really friendly too. It's not clicky, you know.
Nice. Yeah, I get one of these weekends, 3-day weekend, just fly on down. I got to do that. Barbecue, beer, and music. That's what I want. That's where it is.
Dude, you'll get it here. I still haven't really gotten to explore the brewery scene. I was very familiar with a lot of breweries that I liked in Florida, of course, because that's where I lived until pretty recently. I haven't gotten to do much exploring here, but from the few places I've been, there is great beer here and obviously great music here. So you'd love it.
Oh yeah. So like, what convinced you to eventually pick up an instrument growing up? Like, where's your love of music come from? You talked about some influences, of course, some early influences, it sounded like.
You know, really early influences were like James Taylor and Beatles and, you know, stuff my mom played in the car. I really, weirdly enough, I've looked back and realized like the records that I liked, because a song will play and I'll be like, oh, this is like a War B-side. How did I not know? You know, and like I instantly know it all. Because I recently went through my mom's record collection when I moved out. So like honestly, some like old school and like the Commodores and stuff too, like old school.
Oh yeah.
But I really wanted to play guitar. It's tough to remember. So I started playing when I was 9. That's why it's tough to remember. I definitely like I saw videos of people playing. I think the Foo Fighters were probably like the first band that made me go like, wow, I really want to do that. The first guitar player I heard though that made me go like, what's that sound? I want to make that sound was George Harrison. The solo and Come Together. Loved that. Loved singing that. And then I really got serious about it because my brother was getting serious about it in high school band and stuff. And then now he doesn't even play anymore. Now so, yeah. But long-winded, sorry, but yeah, it's tough to remember, but that's pretty much mine. Yeah.
I was thinking about this before I started. I've been doing this podcast for just over 4 years now. And when I'm not doing it, or when I'm doing it with complete strangers, I still get a little nervous. Like before I do them, like the beer. It's one of the reasons I chug beer. That helps. A little social lubricant helps loosen things up.
A beer. I don't even. Yeah, LaCroix.
That's fine. That's fine. I when I reach out to somebody I don't know or try to set something up, I don't want to encourage them and say you should be drinking or something, because I don't want to force that. I don't know what their situation is.
Right.
I don't want that to come across to somebody that may have had a problem in the past or something like that. So that's why I don't be like, yeah, get a drink.
It's a safe move. But you know, with the podcast theme, they know, I know what they're getting.
I mean, it's called Stories from a Bar. So, but
yeah.
But where I was going with that is like, do you guys still get nervous before you go on stage at all or playing in front of people?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you guys deal with that? Out of curiosity.
I think everyone's got their own way of dealing with it, and I will say Jesse probably gets the least nervous, or is the least likely to admit that he's nervous. I drink a lot of water, and then I need 2 different moments, and usually this is what Victor needs too, and we always do it. I need one where I'm outside, no stimulation, just kind of calming down, having some water, and then I go in and I want to make sure that we have a moment together where we're hanging out and laughing about something and then going on stage. Because I love the Foo Fighters mentality of you want to go on stage in a good mood. It's almost like you don't want to go to bed in a bad mood. You don't want to go on stage in a bad mood.
That makes sense.
We just goof around, I think, is the solution usually.
Yeah. I read Dave Grohl's book not long ago. I got it for Christmas. I burned through it in like a week. It was awesome. But I think he says he basically drinks 2 beers and they do their kind of celebration shot of Jaeger or something before they go on stage.
Yep.
They're just sitting around joking with each other before going out there.
Yep.
And then they like to celebrate with KFC and fried chicken and champagne.
Yeah, KFC and champagne is their post-show ritual, which
I was so bummed to hear about Taylor Hawkins though. That was a shocker.
That was a shock. That was rough for me. That was because like I've mentioned them 3 times already. I grew up obsessing over the Foo Fighters. So that
Me
was
too, man. But they were just a rock band that's been around so long, but every album they put out was just a quality rock album.
oh yeah, I had seen them 4 times, and I was planning a fifth. They just they were going to be like this generation's Stones or something. Yeah.
It was funny because literally, I don't remember who said it. I don't remember if I was watching the Grammys when it happened or if I read about it the next day. Whoever won Best Rock Album that year immediately started off by thanking the Foo Fighters for not releasing an album that year. Because it was almost like a default that they would win every year. They at this point, I think they're currently the most winning American rock band when it comes to Grammys.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, because whenever they did it, it just had some sort of classic quality to it. Not to say they weren't changing their sound, and that there weren't other people deserving of it, but it never seemed forced. It always seemed to make sense when they won something, because you're like, yeah, I mean, that was really fucking good, and especially like with Wasting Light, right? Like, which I think is the
Oh,
best.
yeah, that one's my
It's like,
favorite.
yeah, like everything in there, it's a front to back album. Any song could have been a single. They're all super good, and just the idea that it's recorded to tape, those performances are almost entirely, you know, played all the way through. Like, that takes a lot of fucking time and skill. So.
Oh yeah, man. And one of the things I think I appreciate most about them as I was reading the book, they're like they I mean they go album to album. They're not signed, they have their own label. Like, they do it because they want to do it. They were still doing it because they wanted to do it.
Yep. And that's another thing that I love about them, that again, on a much smaller scale, I look at our band, we are independent. Yep. And we want to have our own label someday. And so looking at bands like the Foo Fighters, looking at bands like The Maine is a band we talk about a lot, where,
Dude, I can't stop listening to their new song with Taking Back Sunday and
Charlotte. Yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That song is great. And the whole album that they're touring on right now is phenomenal too. I love The Maine.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get back more into them. I've dabbled in them, but I haven't really deep dive into much of their catalog. But that's all, like, that song's getting radio play up here and everything. And we have a couple good stations, but none, only one station that ever plays them when it comes on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But we should probably talk about your music and Arrows in Action. Yeah. Instead of the Foo Fighters and the Maine. So let's talk about the new song you guys just put out within the last couple of weeks. Put You Through Me. That's a great song. It's probably I don't know if I listened to that first before the EP or I heard the EP first, but I was really into it. Like I said, Victor's voice sounds great, but so why don't you tell me a little bit about Put You Through Me and how this song came together? If you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are super proud of the song, super proud of the music video. That song came from Victor's first Nashville writing session, actually. And it was a really great, comfortable situation. I say comfortable because a lot of sessions you go in and you're meeting someone for the first time and you sort of have to get into a workflow, and then the good ideas start hitting. But we had known Spencer for years because he also went to UF, and he left after graduation for Nashville, sort of passed his cover gig on to Victor and everything. So they had this history together, and Spencer was like, well, I can get you in a room. You could just come write with me. And this song, came out of that. And a lot of what's in there was part of that first day. Obviously we took the bones from that first session and made it what it is, and made it huge, and added, keys and guitars and changed some of the lyrics and structure, but just the bones of it were just so raw. And it was just, it was beautiful. And you could tell that it was written with a friend about a real thing. Victor said phrase, I just don't want to see anybody right now because I just don't think I could put them through me. And Spencer was like, that's we're doing that. That sentence is what we're basing today on. It was like,
I like there's a story in there, and it's awesome because it's not something maybe I've heard it in song before, but it hasn't clicked. But I'm listening to this, I'm like, I feel like I'm such a mess. I don't want to put someone else through that, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's something that's been written about before, but I had never heard it said so or articulated so clearly, just like cut and dry in a way that people can relate to. Because when we started sharing the song on TikTok, it was a pleasant surprise. It connected with people quickly, and they told us, and it's so much so that we had to start playing it on the road. And it wasn't out yet. People were just bringing it up and demanding it. And obviously, as an artist, there's nothing more exciting than when people love the new thing.
Oh yeah.
So we were like, "Oh, you love the thing that's so new, it's not done yet. Okay, well, we got to finish it." So it was really good.
And you guys just put the video out, I think yesterday now or the day before. The video is really cool. Uh,
Thanks.
Great story behind that. How you guys settle on the concept for the video?
We So I mean, obviously, we knew that we needed to be an example of someone not, being emotionally available, of someone even, saying, I can't put you through me right now. And we knew that we couldn't really have Victor act as the lead in that situation because we had already kind of done that, and Uncomfortably Numb and Can Only Be Mine. Victor's the lead of the story. So we're like, well, we should have somebody else be the lead of the story. And we were like, well, Spencer wrote the song with us, so let's have Spencer do it. And Spencer and his boyfriend Jake were just perfect for it because
Oh
all
wow.
those.
So that's a real couple.
Oh yeah, that's a real couple. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, they're the best. They're good friends of ours. They're actually in the background of Uncomfortably Numb too, if you look closely enough, because they've just been around. And yeah, and so like I said, Spencer's known Victor and I since college, and he's best friends with my girlfriend, so I see him all the time. And they were just super down. It's short notice too, we just all kind of got together at this weird bar slash, I don't even know what to call it, really weird location that we shot on. And just had a great time. It was an easy shoot, and all those moments that are them sort of like laughing and dancing and have a good time just come across so genuine because they are. And then the scenes where they're, where Jake's breaking his heart, that was pretty rough because their anniversary was the next day, and it's the night before and just breaking up with each other,
Pretending to break up with each other. Oh man.
yeah. So it felt kind of bad there, but I mean, they got the take.
It came out good. Obviously I've never filmed a music video. Is it kind of, does it feel weird at all being up there kind of going through your song and having to watch and just watching these people out there act kind of?
It's always weird until you like acknowledge that it is. So each shoot that we've done, especially when you have extras, and by extras I just mean our friends because we're not, so everyone's standing around, the song's playing through a speaker loud enough so that Jesse can hear it while he's drumming, but still quiet enough that no one else can really hear it. And it's a music video, so you're just
Yeah.
watching a band lip sync a song 100 times in a row. And then eventually, between a take, someone says something funny, someone opens a drink or whatever, and then it's like, all right, yeah, this is funny, this is great. And then it's not so weird. But yeah, music videos, photo shoots are always sort of like, is this my life? Is this what we do? And then it starts being really fun.
Yeah, it just seems like a special kind of experience.
Mhm. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Be More EP. Like this was really, again, I don't remember if I heard this first or Put You Through Me, or I think I just found them at the same time, honestly. And I don't even think, like I said, I only got into you guys like a month ago. So Put You Through Me's only been out about that long, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this EP was awesome, man. Like I've had each one of these songs stuck in my head at some point, just
Sick.
randomly as I'm sitting there at my desk. So I'd love to talk about these because there's only 6 songs in an interlude. So just kind of go through these loosely and talk about kind of how they came together. Compromise was a fun starter, I thought, because I like that it starts low and then everything comes in like a small little explosion musically.
Yeah.
And I loved that line deep down. I think I love the rush of the guilt. That line stuck out to me.
Yeah. That was another, like, just one of those things that Victor just says when he's just sort of like showing you the lyrics he came up with, the night before. He's like, like, I don't know if these are keepers, but here's what I got. And that was just one of those ones that just cut super deep, and I was like, yeah, That's a that's a keeper.
Endeavor, I think, is probably my favorite song on the EP. Like, I loved everything about this song.
Oh hell yeah! So that's one of my favorites too. I love playing that one live, and that one went through a lot of different iterations. There's a very old demo of that one that sounds very different.
Really?
Yeah, and we had a great time just rehashing it and you know making it more us and more fun. And yeah, and that one still just feels great to perform.
I love the opening guitar on that. That gets me right away. That's good stuff. And then it sounds like you're getting a little funky on the guitar there towards the end,
Yeah, yeah.
which was
I get even more funky live. So there's nice little pockets in there to kind of throw some solo-y stuff, and that verse two part is usually what guitar players mention to me if they say something that they like about Arrows. They say like, "Oh, I really like Endeavor, and I really like the second verse." I've had a couple of guitar players say that, which
really?
I appreciate because there's a lot of really fun stuff in there for me
I mean,
specifically. I had a blast with that one.
it's got a funky bass line in it too that I really like when that stands out because that pops.
Oh yeah,
When you notice
yeah,
it, you notice it.
yeah. There's the the little walks and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was all Tony, our old bass player. Yeah, he had some really fun stuff in that one.
Only Be Mine. This is like a sneakily catchy song. Like it grew on me real quick. Like it's like a finger snapping song just because it's slower than the first two and it's like drum driven. So you just once you get that beat in your head, it sticks.
Yeah, yeah. It's very like I don't want to say samey, but it's definitely like that groove stays with you the whole time, and you're sort of just letting Victor tell you the story. And that is a perfect example of when I was saying we kind of go in with maybe a melody that you can whistle and a chord progression, and then me, Jesse, and our producer will create like a just an atmosphere with it, and Victor will dip for 3 hours and come back with the words, and that was one of those ones just poured out of him
That
all
was
at
and
once.
kudos for Jesse for just playing that so steadily because like I said, that's definitely drum driven. The guitar, you like your guitar comes in on like the vert or on the chorus there.
Yeah,
Uh and that's almost like single note stuff. So that's impressive too.
thanks.
But yeah, man, that's the sneaky one that pops into my head when I'm thinking the other ones with.
Yeah, yeah. It's I like sneaky. Sneaky's a good word for it.
The video was interesting because it looked like you were filming it in just like an abandoned town.
We did. Yeah, that was an old street in Cairo, Illinois.
Okay.
Um there was just there's just no one around. So I mean we blocked off the street, but we didn't really have to. And we snuck into an abandoned movie theater, and it was a really fun day because it was just like when you see that stuff as a kid, you always have that fantasy of like, oh, I wonder what's in there. And it's just like it was so satisfying because we just wandered around and got to go in there. And just people were driving by and asking us what we were doing, and they were, generally the people there were like very excitable and friendly, and it was a fun, weird day.
You have an interlude that's next and kind of splits the EP in half, the flight. I'm always curious. It's only 43 seconds long. When bands put on interludes, like what's so inspiring about that particular piece of music that they're like, this should be on there like that? Because it's cool. It's a cool 43 seconds. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, so there's a couple reasons that we did that. So, like you said, with Compromise, it kind of starts small, and even though the words aren't upbeat, it's very major. It's very, you know, easygoing sort of. It could be like a early Maine song or something, or and then it ends with All the Ways I Can Die, which is very dark, and it sounds dark, and there's a scream and there's feedback squeal and all this shit. And we were like, we need to get from one extreme to another. And these songs in this order do that, but there still seems to be a weird gap, between where we were and uncomfortably numb. And there is just this, Dan and I, our producer, were just fiddling around on this really nice kind of somber. maybe
Yeah,
reset it. Did
there we
it.
go. I don't know what happened, but I paused it. So that's where I'll call a little bridge in there,
Just a
and
little.
just a little bridge.
Can put an interlude there.
There we go. An interlude. That's right. That's what I meant to say. That's what I should have said. Damn it. Opportunity missed.
But yeah, basically we just needed something to kind of tie the two extremes together and just sort of tease the next half of the record. And
And
if you
so
listen closely at the end of it, it kind of has lyrics from those three songs in there. So
that's what I was trying to determine because it sounded mostly instrumental, but there you could definitely hear some kind of voice in there, and I couldn't quite make out what it was saying.
yeah, there's a voice saying "Enjoy your flight," and then there's also pitch shifted versions of Victor's vocals from the next three songs, sort of like playing over each other.
Oh, okay. That makes it more cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
And now that you say that, it is like a tone change once you get to uncomfortably numb for
yes,
the last three songs. Uncomfortably numb is awesome. I didn't know who Taylor Acorns was before this, and I just listened to her stuff. I listened to this song and your EP for a while, and I only checked out her stuff this week, maybe just a couple days ago, and she's phenomenal.
yeah, Taylor's awesome.
I was listening to her stuff. I'll be shocked if she doesn't blow up. Like it was that good, I thought.
She definitely, I think she definitely will. I mean, we got to be her backing band actually for a tour because when we toured with This Wildlife, it was us, Taylor, and them, and we played as her band. And just the experience of playing those songs and working with her, I mean, it was great. And like yeah, we know Taylor's gonna blow up. It's just good to have friends that you believe in around for sure.
Yeah, and I loved, and you can tell the tone difference basically. I mean, almost immediately from the kind of little transition that you guys do that has like a more industrial type sound before she starts singing and comes up a
Yeah,
couple more times. That I really enjoy. That was cool throughout
yeah,
the song.
yeah. Thanks.
And I of course loved how the bridge builds to the final chorus. Same thing where it has goes more industrial type sound to it.
Yeah, industrial. Yeah, Tom Waitsy.
So I may use the word industrial too much sometimes.
No. I think of whenever I think industrial, I think Nine Inch Nails and like that kind of stuff, which I love. I love that your brain goes there with the breakdown because I certainly was thinking of very heavy music when we were doing that in the studio.
See, that's what I do. See, I make that connection.
Nice.
The beer helps. Uh, Permanent Vacations, the next song. I really like the way this song just kind of builds throughout it. It's catchy, but I loved the way it ends. I love the extra emphasis when Victor is singing "I'm locked and loaded, fire away" the last time, and he's almost screaming towards the end
Yeah.
there. That line that's stood out to me on the first listen, and then I love where again, like at the end of the bridge, going into the last chorus, where everything drops out and it's just the drums for the few seconds there.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments too. It's probably again one of my favorites live because we do this fun thing in the bridge where sometimes even instead of singing those lyrics, Victor just gets everyone to scream "Hey" to the beat or scream something to the beat, and then if there's something for me to jump off, I jump off it, and it's great. That one's very very fun live, and we kind of recorded it to be that way because we were just like, where can we get like these extreme drop out and coming back in moments that we can jump to. Like our producer Dan would literally like stand up on a laptop and then do like a scissor kick and then be like, all right, cool, keep going.
And then you already mentioned this song, but "All the Ways I Can Die" definitely sounds like it has its own thing going on on compared to the other songs. Definitely kind of the darkest song on the album.
Yeah,
So I'm curious how this one came about.
that one was the original demo for that is just this little MIDI keyboard music box sounding thing that's like way slower that Victor had sitting around for a little bit. And there's this beautiful song melody. And then when we
Yep.
were
Hold on. Your audio's kind of dropping out again a little bit. The wonders of technology and how we can drop out on you on the most inconvenient times
I love it.
coming into play. But we were talking, of course, all the ways I could die. I don't think we got that far into the story. So how did the All the Ways I Could Die come about?
Oh, yes. So yeah, Victor had just had this sort of little music box melody sitting around for a while. They just played on like a MIDI keyboard. We were staying at an Airbnb when we were recording the majority of Be More, and he was just sitting out on the porch one morning, and he said, I forget exactly how he phrased it, but he was like, "This might be too dark. It's venting, but like I have lyrics for that thing." And he played it for me outside, and I was like, I mean, we can't change that. We gotta do that. And we did, even after we recorded it and everything, have more discussion of like, it's dark, but I think people will understand and share that sentiment where like, no, he doesn't really mean that self-care isn't worth it. But it's a venting session of being fed up with trying to fix it. You know what I mean? And it turns out it really resonated with people, and it went over well, despite how dark it is. And yeah.
I mean, I get it, man. Everyone's in a dark place from time to time. Sometimes you can't just help but sit there and think about that kind of stuff. But but the song works so well. It's so good. And like I said, like this song sets itself. When I think of this album, I think of the other songs and the interlude, and then I think of this almost separately, just because of like the tone change, but in a good way, of course.
Yeah. No, that's a fair way to think about it. I mean, honestly, I might look at it in a similar way where it is very different tonally, but
it even has, like you mentioned, the screaming at the end there.
Yes, yeah. We figured we always want to have a diverse sound because that's what's most fun to make. It's just all different kinds of songs. So let's just set ourselves up for success. We planned for this to be the EP that people, find us with. And so we were like, let's just make it super diverse. And All the Ways I Can Die really, really helps with that by being so different.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, man, the EP was awesome. I've had all of those songs stuck in my head at some point, separately on occasions. Two other songs I just want to touch on because I can't stop listening to those either were This Time and Failing on Purpose. Those songs are rockers, man. I love those songs.
Sick. Thank you.
What's your thoughts on those and how those came together just quickly?
Yeah. So Failing on Purpose was one that we hammered out pretty quickly just in our old rehearsal space back in Gainesville. We wanted to write a heavier, anti-flaggy kind of thing. And I think it really came through. And then this time was actually another one that came about really quickly. It was the last of those 4 to be finished. And Victor was like, hey, I have something for the next time we go in the studio. And he showed me that. And I was like, no, we need to do that now. That's awesome. And Jesse felt the same way. And so we took it into that same session, and pretty much, I will say with that one, pretty much just the way Victor wrote it is how we played it. And, straightforward, but in a good way, and catchy as hell. And
yeah, man, that was super catchy. Like when I was telling a few friends I was going to have you guys on, I'm like, that's the song I sent them. I'm like, check out this song.
Nice. I still love that song. And I still think that song kind of does, represent a lot of what we do, because there's a lot of different elements in there, but it's still a pop song. It's still just
it was really well done. So kudos to you guys on those songs too.
Thank you.
So a few questions to go before we wrap up. Do you guys currently have anything you're working on you can talk about? I'll phrase it that way. Obviously, Put You Through Me just came out. The video just came out.
Yes. So the video for Put You Through Me just came out. Check out the music video. Got some new merch up for sale on the website. That definitely helps us, keep the machine rolling, obviously pay our bills. I will say we have a very exciting thing to announce very soon. So if your followers want to follow us on things, we may or may not be finally playing some shows again.
Hint, maybe not.
We're very excited about every aspect of it. So that'll be pretty soon. Yes.
It's broadly excitable. I think that's broadly a good term. Broadly excited.
Put You Through Me and new thing.
What are some of the things you and the guys are listening to these days? Anything in particular?
Oh man. Yeah, we love the Aces. We love Magnolia Park, the Home Team, Loveless. Obviously the 3 bands we were just on the road with, like we were talking about earlier. A lot of people. Trying to think of who else. I've been weirdly going back and I'm on a huge like James Taylor, Jim Croce kick, but that
Nice.
doesn't really, Um, Emlyn and really like Mothica too. Scene Queen is fucking rad. Yeah.
Nice. Actually, you know who I just checked out that I've known the name for a while, but I just listened to this week was Stand Atlantic.
Oh, Stan Atlantic is great.
I saw again, I think because of Twitter and following between you and me, they retweeted or posted about their new album or something within the last week. So I'm like, I've seen that name for a while. I'm gonna check this out. I'm like, this was dope. This was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Stan Atlantic is badass. Love
And then actually Bowling for Soup just put out a new album, which I'm trying to become which I've been listening to and it's been fun since I'm gonna go see them in a month. I'm like,
yeah.
they have one song that they I think put out as a single. I don't know if it was before they decided they were going to do another full album or not, but Getting Old Sucks. And that song, but everybody's doing it in parentheses, which is clever. Everybody is getting old. But and I feel that more now than I did 10 years ago, of course. But the video for it was hysterical too, because it's just them as like Muppets doing all this stupid shit
as Muppets.
Yeah.
I love that.
Or puppets as they to match, those things and the lyrics and the song. One thing that's been fun about Bowling for Soup, and I'm excited to go see them, because there's literally they don't give a shit. They sing about what they want to sing about, and it's always fun. It's super clever, and I think they're underrated songwriters, Jarrett Reddick and crew there.
Yeah, they have super catchy songs, and I've never seen them live, but I always knew that they were fun live. This would probably be the tour to see them on, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't seen them either, so yeah, I haven't seen them, so I'm looking forward to that. And I've been diving back into some Less Than Jake albums that I missed.
Oh yeah,
particularly Silver Linings, which is, I think, about 2 years old now, and I think was their last album. I'm like, this was so much. This is really good. This was like vintage, almost vintage Less Than Jake.
Oh yeah, that album is super good. And I believe they did the vast majority of it, if not all of the tracking at Boathouse, which is in Gainesville. So that's super cool too.
Man, on this side, that's just my Butch Walker poster that I like to point out. Oh, every episode.
I was trying to read what that was earlier, and I couldn't tell.
It's Butch Walker and the Black Widows.
Nice.
Just a big Butch Walker fan. I should probably, maybe he owes me royalties. I bring him up so much. I don't know. I wrote that question twice. So we kind of talked about what you guys do pre-show. Do you have any like after show or rituals, pre-show rituals, or is that like just hanging out and stuff like that? I'm always curious. Like we mentioned the Foo Fighters and like what they do. You talked about just hanging out outside, getting some air, drinking some water, and then joking together before you go on stage.
Yeah. Always want to go on in a good mood. Always want to go on laughing if possible. As far as post-show stuff goes, I mean, we usually at the stage that we are at, the size we're at, our post-show ritual is packing up and getting the fuck off the stage as fast as we can. And we've gotten really good at it. So if we have a 30-minute set time, we play for 25, and then we only take usually 7 minutes to get off the stage, sometimes 6. So we're not even using the changeover, which I'm very proud of. So, maybe someday we'll have a nice calm down post-show ritual, but for now it's
get your ass in gear,
do the thing, and you're at work, get it done.
And then my closer question. So let's say this is some amount of time down the line. You guys have taken over the world musically. Every band is begging to be on your world tour that you're going on. What's your dream lineup here? Who would you love to tour with? I'll just say up to 3 bands. Just
up to 3 bands. Okay. So if you haven't heard of this band, you need to look them up. Our friend's band is called The Home Team. They are one of my favorite bands. They're fucking phenomenal. We really want to tour with them, but that is probably in the nearer future than when we take over the world. So when we take over the world, the band Camino, the Aces, and Magnolia Park, because they'll probably have taken over.
That's another name I've seen a lot over the few years that I need to check out.
Magnolia Park is awesome, and they are from my hometown, Orlando. So they're a band that means a lot to me. They crashed at our place in Nashville when they were on tour recently, and we got to hang out with them, and all just super, super nice dudes. Yeah.
That's kind of, I mean, that's really cool. What's it like? Do you ever get like starstruck from some of the people you've just crossed paths with so far, either being in Nashville or on tour, like bands that you've listened to that like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm hanging out with you guys now, or we're talking or having a conversation on something?
I not particularly. I mean, I guess there's been a few instances where like I'll meet someone who's really huge in the industry or something like that, but I never really have enough time to sort of be nervous, because you're just doing something and they're there too, and you just you just realize it. But as far as meeting artists that we listen to, I would say that maybe like 2 or 3 years ago I would be super, super nervous, but now we've been doing it long enough that there's sort of this mutual respect there, and I can kind of like speak the language of the industry and ask good questions and everything. And it's usually just more fun than anything.
Awesome.
But obviously there's a level of that where that breaks, right? Like if I met Dave Grohl, I wouldn't know what to do with myself, but I would love to. So
I'd probably just stand there kind of with like my mouth open. I'm like, and just be like, I'll probably be saying the words, I don't know what to say out loud. I feel like that's how that's going to go.
I would, if I knew I was going to meet him, I would probably just do my research on like barbecue so I could talk barbecue.
Just something they don't expect. I feel like that's what will draw them in.
Yeah, something more entertaining than, how you doing? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I don't know what I would say to him, but obviously I would be nervous for certain people, of course.
Awesome. So I think that's going to do it on this episode, sir.
Sick. Well, thanks for having me, Chris.
Awesome. So that's another wrap on another successful edition of Stories from a Bar. Big thank you, Matt Fowler of Arrows in Action, for being on the show. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and chat. This has been super fun for me. Like I said, I've enjoyed the band's music. I'm looking forward to the next time you guys go on tour and come to the area. I'll certainly be there.
Sick. That would be awesome. Yeah, just let us know. We'll believe we'll be there very soon.
Hypothetically, maybe
we will be there.
Broadly excited for the possibilities in the future.
Exactly.
And for everyone else listening out there, if you're not doing it already, be sure to like and follow Arrows in Action on all the social media pages to keep tabs on everything they have going on, music, merch, anything you want to throw in there before I close this out.
Stream Put You Through Me, and follow us on TikTok for constant funny stuff and tour announcements.
I have to admit, I'm not on the TikTok. I don't really do. I just haven't done it.
Twitter and Instagram do just as well, especially for announcements.
Okay. I don't know what I would put on TikTok. It would just be videos of me drinking beer and listening to music.
Well, you know what we've learned from TikTok, there's an audience for anything. So I guarantee you can get onto beer TikTok.
Okay, I might have to look into this. And a huge thank you out there to everyone for checking out the show. You can, of course, follow Stories from a Bar on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at StoriesFAB to keep up with everything going on with the show and fun things coming up. Also, be sure to check out Popcorn and Pints streaming on Facebook and Twitter, 9:00 on Saturday nights. That's another podcast show I do with friends where we just kind of get drunk and talk about movies that we've watched. That's fun. We make some very insulting jokes at each other. We laugh. We have a good time. So check that out.
Great.
You'll find Stories from a Bar on all major podcast platforms, so be sure to like and subscribe, and even more importantly, leave fantastic reviews and share the hell out of it, people. And go see Arrows in Action and listen to their music. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.